Good morning.
Oh.
We're here. Woo-hoo.
We are, and so are the allergies. So I'll mute myself now and then in between throat clearing and coughing. So I may forget to unmute myself. So
We'll remind you.
so hello everyone. Here we are with our Wednesday morning ghost chat. So if you're new, let's explain our shenanigans. So Marianne, you were the inspiration and the consultant behind the TV show The Ghost Whisperer.
Correct.
And so what we've done now is people can ask in the comment section here questions about earthbound spirits, maybe the TV show, negative energy and portals, and you, Marianne, are going to answer for them. So it's fun times. And that being said, you can always go back and watch the old ones of these too, because we've covered a lot of information. We've been doing this, like a year now-ish? Has it been a year? I don't know.
I don't know how long. I don't know when we started this. I don't think it's been a year yet. Of course, time goes. I don't know. It disappears.
Right. It's been a minute that
Yes.
we've been doing this. So a lot of our friends, and right off the bat, Lewis' first question is podcast update. So
You can wait till the second person. He doesn't have to be the first.
Oh, well, here we go, Amy. Podcast update, please. So update being just this morning, I was communicating back and forth with Becky, who is sometimes on with us, Rebecca Harper, on music style, the intros, how do we want them worded? So we are working, but it's all of those pesky behind the scene things that have to be done first. So,
I'm curious. I have a question for you. People have invited me to be on podcasts, and I've been on. Some of them have been just voices. Some of them have been visions, where you can see. What's ours going to be?
So we can decide. So here's the fun thing. Like right now we're live, right? So when we end, I can always take the recording of this, save it as a sound only file, and throw it up as a podcast. So they're probably doing both. Where they're like, oh, come see us live and ask questions live. But I'm thinking, because we already do this weekly, that the podcast would strictly just be listening, unless maybe we came up with like a special event where we wanted interaction during the podcast.
Okay.
So, because I'm better at editing some of the sound. I absolutely stink at editing video. So
okay.
We're not.
Well, I'm fine with just the voices. That's fine. And I think most of them aren't just voices.
Yeah, they're kind of double dipping, if you will. But I think a lot of those, from the ones that I've investigated and looked at, because some that I am fans of and I've watched how they work, they're doing like one broadcast like this, and they're using it for both visual and audio. Since we already have this standing, we don't need to use it twice.
Right. Okay.
All of our friends that are here now don't need to go listen to it because they were already here.
Yes, correct. Okay.
So we have a lot of our friends with good mornings for everybody. It is beautiful. I wish it really was fall, but I think we're in that Ohio false fall.
Well, we're still going to have Indian summer. You don't get that until the first frost, and then after that you have Indian summer, which I'm going to write to every weather person on our TV and tell them they're calling this Indian summer. I want to choke them. Why don't they look up the right definition of Indian summer before they use it? It's crazy.
So let's see. So Chrissy says, old man is back. I think I got him back in the fireplace. Can't wait for the next Zoom.
Well, that'll be Friday. See you on Friday how you did.
So let's see. And Helen, says, can I please introduce myself? I thought you were one of Marianne's daughters, but from past videos, it doesn't seem like you are. I am not, though there's been times where people ask if I am one of your daughters or if I'm a granddaughter. And I think we both have said sometimes like, yeah, and we just let it go. So.
Yeah, right. But no, no, we just bring you aboard.
Right.
Yeah, you're not blood, but you may as well be.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, you and Ted are extended family as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But Marianne and I, how many years ago? That was Borders, Tower City, my timeline. So let's see.
Was that the first one, or was Sandusky the first one?
Tower
City.
City.
Okay, and when were you there?
Yeah, and I think the first time that I actually worked with you, it was out of Tower City, and it was at that Copper Top golf course.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. That was the craziest thing. It was wasn't that a cancer benefit or something?
I think so.
Right.
Yeah. So you figure if I've had Goddess Elite like going on 10 years now, would have been in Sandusky managing that one for 1.5 years, 2 years before the company went under. So now we're at like 12, and you go back farther into that. So maybe around 15,
16 years, I'll bet you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a minute.
Right.
We've been schlepping books
plugging along. That's what we're doing.
Right. Let's see. We've got some questions here. Lots of good mornings, and let's see.
Just while you're looking, the YouTube tonight at 5:30 is going to be on possessions. Never done a YouTube on possessions before. And what was a possession 1 or 2 a year is now 2 to 4 a month. Big difference. So we're going to talk about that on YouTube today.
Okay. So Sherry says, hi, Marianne from Australia, your Aussie friend's big sister again. Last time we spoke, to identify a ghost in my home, I had to call in on a landline. Is this still the case? I think I have a presence again, touch lamp coming on, etc. But I don't have a landline anymore. How can I reach you to check?
You can use your cell phone. That's fine. But you really need to tell me when you are going to be at home with your cell phone. However, right now I am not taking any out of Ohio State calls. I'm trying to catch up with what I've got. So just put it on the back burner. And as soon as I open it up where I'm taking any calls from out of Ohio, try to come in. But yeah, we can work with the cell phone. The timing is bad because our times are really bad, but we can figure it out.
Well, I think that you used to say landline only was to make sure people had to be home to answer that landline.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, well, my landline is my cell phone is my only phone. And you leave it sit on the counter when you go to work, right? Well, no, I take it with me. So that's really not a home phone. That's a cell phone that you take with you everywhere. Big difference. I can't tell you anything if I talk to you from work. I need to talk to you from where you think the problem is. And that was the thing with the cell phones.
Right. So Lewis says, I am back at school and currently attempting to hand stitch denim fringe to the sleeves of my Nan's 90s denim jacket.
Oh, what a pain that would be. Don't you have a sewing machine that you could use? Heavy duty sewing machine needles? That works.
And we all want pictures, Lewis. So,
right.
We want to see your work when you're done.
Yes, of course. You bedazzle too? I should stay away from that one.
Oh, don't. You will get fan mail so quick with bedazzled ghosts and
No. Cancel.
So Nadia says, I saw a whitish spirit. I saw a face looking directly at me and a hand touching my shoulder. The same day I dreamt of my deceased grandmother having convulsions and foaming at the mouth. Could that have been grandma maybe visiting or?
Well, if your grandmother passed over, you would not be having that kind of a dream where she would be having a problem. So that part of it would be you having a dream about her, which is totally different than her coming in a dream. But yes, you absolutely, she could have been visiting the day that you saw her, all white and touched your shoulder. Absolutely, that could have been her. And a lot of times because I can't see those kind of spirits, but a lot of time people that can see them, the face is sort of blurry or foggy or smirched together where you really can't see exactly who it is. But, yes. And if it was anywhere around this past new moon, or around a full moon, that for sure would have meant that was probably her.
Dee Dee says, I just have to say thank you so much. I got my seed, and immediately after putting it on, I felt like a huge weight was lifted off.
Oh, good. And you know what? For those of you that got the seeds, you can't explain it unless you go through it. I don't know what else to tell you. And I get, comments like that all the time. What a huge difference. And it really does make a difference.
Mm.
So I think she's going to be on Friday, Dee Dee.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
For me.
Yeah.
Well, Kim says, I just saw another wee folk last week in the dining room. Its eyes had a slight glow and it had cat-like ears. It stood about 3 feet tall.
You know what? Yes, that is probably exactly what you saw. Some of them had pointed ears, some of them don't. Some of them don't even have ears. They're just flat. It's interesting that you say that. I was just matching. This was a good new moon this past weekend. And so I made up a batch of stuff to put in dream bags.
Oh.
And so I need to make some more. And so I, make this huge tub of this stuff. So before it goes into the little pouches. And I was thinking about it. It took a while for me to get my supplies. Everybody it takes forever to get stuff ordered now anymore. But something interesting came up and I ran it by Ted, and of course Ted just said, something else for me to do. But I can get lemon verbena, which is one of the things that you need to make the wee folk remedy. And I can get organic dried lemon verbena, and I think I'm going to order it. It comes in a huge, huge bag, and I'm going to order it. And I'm going to see if I can make a tea out of that. And if I can make the tea out of that strong enough, that would be one part of what goes into the cure for the little folk. And I think that's the problem some people are having, finding everything that they need to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I'm probably going to try to make it and have that available then in maybe a 2 or 3 ounce bottle so that nobody has to go through it. And they can do it if they want to do it themselves, but if they don't want to mess with it, this time of the year in our area, winter, it would be very hard to find the chicks and hens.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I even know somebody that grows them, and I'm wondering if I can render them down too and get the juice out of them and make it all together so that it's a complete thing. So I'm going to try doing that.
This is like Breaking Bad, but Breaking Fairy,
That's exactly right. They're going to be lined up at my front door with little hammers breaking it down because I'm making them crazy.
Mary Ann's Breaking Fairy juice,
Right. Oh, I don't know.
um, so, have I missed the alien and fairy days? I've been away for the past 2 months.
Oh yeah, go back to the past ones. Been there, done that. We've done that.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then a little question here and there
Oh,
pops up.
sure.
But the dedicated days, which I only know because I remember being in Florida when we talked about the fairy one. That was like that first Wednesday of February,
And so then go
2021.
back and re-listen to that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I mean, I made Ted eventually put titles on the YouTubes because I couldn't remember which ones were which. And I don't know, do we have titles on these Wednesday morning things? Or are they just questions?
They're just questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
No more work. That'll be good enough.
um, let's see. Mel says, I wish you could come to work and rid us of all of the negative ghost in this damn jail. Tired cop who wears her seats daily. Like which jail again? Because I remember it was a week or so ago, and
I've done a number of jails, Cleveland's jail, some of the suburbs jails, some of another city jails. And I will tell you, yeah, it really works. But somehow, and I know an earthbound spirit cannot touch the seeds. That's totally impossible. That will never happen. Well, if they're my seeds, that'll never happen. You go down and buy a quince, yeah, they can touch those, but not mine.
Mhm.
But I don't know. They seem to disappear in the jails. So I don't know if it has to be people taking them down.
Mm.
But yeah, you're right. And at least most of the cops carry a seed on them. So if there's something there, at least it stays away from them. But for people that aren't carrying the seed, oh, it can make them so negative. It's not a nice place to work. That's for sure.
So Sue says, I am a teacher and several of my students advise me on a daily basis that they see two older ghost ladies walking around and an older gentleman as well. They see them in the hallways and playgrounds. I wear your protection necklace that I have of yours. Any suggestions on what to do to banish them from the classrooms?
Well, we can do this. I've done it with other teachers with your handy dandy cell phone. Call me from your classroom. This works really well if you work out of the same classroom every day. A lot of schools, the students stay and the teachers move, where it used to be the teachers stayed and the students moved. So you always had your own classroom. So if you have your own classroom, then you would go in the morning or a weekend when nobody else is there. I don't know, some schools you can get in, some you can't if you're a teacher. And it would be a pre-arranged time. I would call you at that time from when you're in your classroom. And if nobody is in the classroom, the seeds could go on the doors that go into your classroom, so your classroom would be protected. And a lot of classrooms have two doors. So we would do both those doors. Unless I'm clearing the whole school, there is nothing I can do about them in the hallways, out in the playground. There's nothing I can do about those. But your room could be protected, and I've done this for over the years, hundreds of teachers, and it works very well. And most of them end up in the same room the following year, or if they know they're changing, I tell them leave the seed for the next teacher, and we'll do it again for your new classroom. So it can be taken care of.
And I wonder too, like if you were to talk, if like the cleaning staff, knew about this and be like, hey, don't be pulling down seeds on those doors, like leave them there,
Melissa, in all honesty, if you can find somebody that cleans up above that part of the door,
right?
They're miracle workers. Don't ever get rid of them. But nobody cleans up there.
Nobody does.
Nobody bothers. Right. Nobody Ted usually has a rag in his back pocket to dust it before he puts a seat up for somebody in their house, because you just don't do it. Painters having a door replaced.
Mhm.
Painters up on a ladder have more of a tendency to sit there and scrape it off thinking it's a bug. But really not people that clean. They could care less.
They could care less.
And I can just hear the scream from people that do that for a living. I do it. Well, you're one of very few, believe me.
So Jonas Brock asks, can you make things worse if you smudge your house incorrectly? If so, where can I go get the best instructions to do so? Thank you, ladies. Love your books, Marianne.
Well, thank you so much for liking the books. And if you smudge wrong or don't do all the rooms, all that is going to do is that's where your ghost is going to be hiding. And so if you do it right, your spirit, if you have it in the house, will be very lethargic, laid back. If they haven't been there very long, maybe 2 or 3 times, and they'll leave. But so you can't make it worse, but you can do it where you're wasting your time and your money buying the smudge stick and not doing it right and still having your ghost. And there's enough instructions around. I mean, just don't make it harder than it is. Just make sure you do every closet, every room, every crawl space.
Well, one of our local friends who's local to us here in Ohio, Lisa, says, I'm a security guard at a hospital. I told coworkers that I'll go sit by the morgue doors just to get some peace and quiet. Most are creeped out, but she's not bothered by the dead. So I'm sure the morgue is going to be a lot less active than the rest of the hospital, with codes going, people running around, family members upset.
Exactly right. And let's think about it. If a body in a hospital is taken to the morgue, some hospitals do their own autopsies, some do not. I have run across very, very few earthbound spirits that ever want to watch their body being prepared for an autopsy, during an embalming, before they're ready to view at the funeral. There's no ghosts around. They're very, very, very seldom.
Well, see, and that kind of leans into Rhonda's comment. She goes, good one, Lisa. My dad was an embalmer and assistant pathology at local hospitals. He never sensed anything there, but I bet he may have brought some home with him.
Again, maybe not, because they really don't want to see what happens. They like to walk into the funeral home and see who dressed them in what, how their hair looks, and are their fingernails nice and polished if it's a lady. So no, there's other things they worry about other than going home. You know, a lot of the funeral parlors, especially in this area or other big cities, the funeral directors lived upstairs above the funeral parlor, and they never had any problems. So no, don't, just because you have a job that deals with dead people doesn't mean that you're going to bring home any of their ghosts with you.
Let's see. So Natalie says, or asks, if someone sees wee folk, are they able to see earthbounds?
Not necessarily, because we folk are not dead. They are alive. And they're jumping in and out of other dimensions, but they are alive. So if you see those, terrific. Or if you see earthbound spirits, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see the wee folk.
They're like almost like 2 different frequencies.
That's right.
Like how I
exactly right. That's the best way to describe it.
So yay, Divine. Hello, Divine. Says, good morning, ladies. Marianne, what is the most unusual thing an earthbound ghost wanted done or wanted their family to know?
Surprisingly, it's not so much in people's houses, but when I get called to funerals. And in all honesty, it's starting to pick up again, because now you can actually go into a funeral home where we couldn't with the COVID. Of course, what's going to happen with this new one? Well, that's beside the point. So anyway, but it's those people that are standing at the foot of their casket that have all of a sudden, um, the boy that lives next door is my son. My wife doesn't know. Am I going to tell your wife sitting there crying that the kid next door is your son? That's called shooting the messenger. No, it's not going to happen. So there are things like that I mean, they, I don't have a collar on me. I'm not a religious person. Telling me what happened or what you did is not going to absolve your sins from what you did. But there's some wild stories out there.
You should make a book of those. The names changed to protect the innocent, but
Oh yeah.
Earthbound Confessions.
Funeral home confessions. That's what it would be called.
There we go.
But again, I'm not Patterson. Nobody wants my books at the places now, so someday they will.
We're getting ready to be filled in the chat with "I'll buy it, I'll buy it."
Yeah. And I know that, but the publishers don't know that. And that's where it's affected.
In my downtime, I'm going to have to start researching the self-publication formats and the best houses. I mean, like Marianne's.
There's so many. Yeah, and I've got one out of the 7 books. One is actually an electronic book. I don't know. The idea of not holding a book. It took me a while to get used to audio when we were driving because I wasn't reading. Of course, if I read when we drove, I got car sick. But at least listening to them, you don't get car sick. And I've got, there's 2 more to go with the electronic one, which I haven't even thought about doing. I don't know. It's something to think about, I guess.
But we'll get that figured out in downtime.
Right. When is that? Tell me again.
I really need to give up this whole hobby that I have of sleeping and just be more productive at night, I think. I could get so much more done.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
I need minions. I need so many minions. Gina says, Marianne, my deceased ex keeps coming into my dreams. How can I stop this from happening?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know. What does he want from you? Is he trying to apologize to you? He's an ex. Was there, is he trying to make amends for whatever he did? Why did you divorce him? Maybe it would just be good enough just to listen to him, hear what he has to say. And maybe when he gets it off his chest, he'll leave you alone. What is it? The 12 steps alcoholics have to apologize to people that they wronged.
I think that's one of them, yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is what he's doing. I don't know, Gina, because, everybody I know wants to remember their dreams, not stop. So I don't know what to tell you.
So Lewis says, to answer your earlier question, I do have sewing machines, but the fringes aren't attached together. So I have to sit here and individually sew 24 fringes. It's so hard being me.
You're right. What I might try, and you would probably know this better than me, Lewis. Don't they have something like cloth super glue? Couldn't you just super glue them on?
Oh, like those little strips.
Right. Right. And the super glue, once it's on something, it doesn't come off.
When Rune was still in Taekwondo and he kept earning all of these little badges, and I was like, oh my God, quit being good, quit earning badges, because he would get these little bitty stars that were like this big. And to sit there and try to sew them on, I kept breaking needles because they were so thick. And so then I tried getting that glue for patches, and it would look good for about 1 or 2 washes, and then it would start letting go. And so it looked like he had dying starfish on his arm, and it would stain the white uniform. And I'm like, oh my God. So I finally, one of the readers we used to have, she used to teach fashion and design at Virginia Marty. And so she had like every sewing machine. So I rebought like a complete new uniform for him to compete in. So it would be nice and crisp and white and no dying starfish, and paid her to sit there and run these through the sergers and keep them in place. And, it took her all of 15 minutes to do the whole uniform and all of the
Right.
things. But I'm like, oh my God, I hated this. Like when his dad was in the military doing them stupid patches.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, when Ted was in, it's easier to use needles for that people use to make rugs. They were really thick and they worked really, really well, but you don't nowadays. But I don't know, and I don't know if the glue that you used was for cloth. There is cloth glue specifically made for that. So, and that shouldn't stain if it's that.
yeah, it was called Patch Attach.
I don't know.
Get it at Joanne Fabrics and stuff in their sewing aisle. And it was just like, I was so proud of him for earning all these things. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, crap, I have to
Stop it. Yes.
put that on your uniform now. So now, he's not doing anything in college. He's doing college. But now, I'm like, you're 18. Any uniform and any martial art you go back in and any patches you update, you put that on.
It's your job now. You're an adult. Right.
So Dee Dee asks, can spirits touch you and move body parts like lifting up your arm?
They can. They can definitely touch you, move your hair. Yes, they can do that. But keep this in mind. They always have something like that is going to happen the week working up to a full moon, an eclipse, a new moon, where they get more energy from that moon phase anyway. But yeah, they can do that. Move your legs, move your arms, turn your head. You're sleeping and it's like all of a sudden you're facing that way. No, they can actually do that, which is disgusting when you're sleeping.
Well, I mean, before, you came out and helped, I mean, I was having bruises and scratches and waking up and I'm like, I know I did not hurt myself.
Right.
Like,
No, exactly right.
Joe, I think Joe's a new friend joining us. It says, forgive me if this has been answered previously, but can these earthbound spirits affect your energy? Just curious. Thanks.
Yeah, Joe, they sure can. They don't eat or sleep and they need human energy to keep going. So if you've got them in your house, you're tired all the time. If you've got kids under the age of 10, ear, nose, throat, upper respiratory problems constantly, tired all the time, bad headaches, possibly lower intestinal problems. So yeah, they affect you. And that is one of the reasons why when I do a house, the person does not know who the ghost is, because your own relatives or friends wouldn't do this to you.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, so we're getting some really good recommendations from some of our friends. Like Nadia is saying, you can use ACX to create an audiobook, free or paid. And Amazon and Blurb are free publishing. So I'll have to make notes of those before I sign out of the studio later and kind of do some work there. So Helen has a little bit of a two-part. Says, my sister was born with a black veil and very psychic. When 12, had a near-death experience and drowned in Lake Michigan and saw 7 colorful bathing suits in bodies floating in front of her. Were these 7 suits ghosts?
I would think because she didn't die, thank God, is that they were more people that had crossed over to maybe try to assist her, keep her attention where she watched them, where she just didn't put her arms up and go under. So I wouldn't think they were earthbound spirits, but I would think that they had something to do with trying to help her get out of the situation she was in.
So I'm not laughing at that. Because I'm catching up now because we're a little behind in some of the questions. And Lewis, oh my God, why didn't I think of fabric glue?
I'm not even going to, I'm saying nothing.
And Divine, I put she says, I put my seed on my triple goddess charm with E6000. That like holds everything to everything. E6000.
Right. Perfect place for
Um,
it. Perfect.
yeah. And Lewis agrees, embroidery needles are really thick and good for sewing on patches. So I'm just glad I don't have to worry about that anymore. Rhonda says, do certain moon side phases lead to different ghost experiences?
Only in as much as that, because they're louder, they do more, they move more things, maybe you feel them more, they touch you more. That would be how you would know that, that would increase too during that time period for who's ever being bombarded by them. So yeah, you would probably know.
So Hocus Pocus says, I've had such bad anxiety lately that's heading into depression. I feel scared and nervous, like bad energy is attached to me. Any advice could you please give me?
I'll tell you what I would do if the call can't work or you come on Zoom. But why don't you try having a friend do the little ceremony on you on the back of from the book When Ghosts Speak, just in case you have negative energy on you. Removing that would make a huge difference. The other thing is use the Blessed Sea Salt soap and use it and see if that doesn't make a difference. People love that. They really said it makes a huge difference. If they've had a really bad day at work or they're really around a lot of negative people, they'll come home, get cleaned up, and use that soap, and it's amazing. It leaves it. The other thing that you can do to see if it makes a difference is smudge. But without knowing for sure what's going on, it's like, well, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. You're better off trying to, like I said, either call or get on Zoom and let's see if you've actually got something.
So this harkens back, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Says, I remember you once mentioned about a woman who was declared brain dead and you were called to help pass the message to her family. Are people immediately out of their body as soon as that happens?
Most of them come out pretty quick. They really don't stay in. I mean, the body's gone. You're legally dead. And why stay when you can get out and flit around and go wherever you want to go? I would say most of them are probably within a minute or two. Some of them may go a little bit longer. Only one time it happened where I went to a hospital and they were on life support, and I won't even come to the hospital unless they're declared brain dead. Because if they're not brain dead, then they're not legally dead yet. So, but this woman was brain dead, and I walked in and she looked the same to me and as every other dead body, so to speak. And I just said out loud, gosh, she looks dead. I don't see her spirit. So that was one of two things. One, her spirit hadn't come out of her body yet. Or two, she was out flitting around and she just wasn't there. She was busy on her own journey. So, but this particular one, I was ready to leave. And she actually came out of her body. Her spirit came out. And I asked her what took her so long. She says, I really like my body. I really didn't want to leave. And she says, but I guess there's nothing more they can do for me. I said, no, there really isn't. So, but that's the only one I can remember that came in a while after she was dead. They came out.
And it's funny because I heard this a little bit ago. So I was going to ask you if you had a window open, but where's the blue jay sound coming from?
By you or me?
I don't have any of my windows or doors open. Do you have a window or door open?
I do.
Oh, so maybe.
Yeah, the birds are back there chirping. Yeah, no, they do. I don't have the big one behind me open because who knows what that would do, but the little one over the sink. Yeah, there's a couple big mounts around here, and there is a bunch of blue jays in the one tree. So
Yeah, I can't quite pin down because I've only been here a month, like when the schedule is for like landscaping trash and everything. So I'm like, it'd be my luck that here comes,
Right,
the leaf blower or the weed whacker or something.
right.
Pat says, hi, when smudging for the first time, should I start in the basement and work my way up to the attic, vice versa, or should I work my way around and finish my main entrance on the first floor?
It's personal preference. Just don't get yourself confused. You know, try to do it in a fashion where you hit every room. I prefer starting high and coming down. Uh, but it's pretty much however you want to do it. Just remember to get anything that's attached to the house. In other words, attached garages, anything like that.
So here's a good, maybe splitting hairs question. Isn't kosher salt blessed sea salt?
Oh my gosh, I would have no idea. And kosher. I'm probably going to get in big trouble here. Isn't kosher salt what Jewish people usually use? Kosher salt?
Yeah, I don't know if they bless it or any way
But
before.
I don't. Um, with their religious belief system, I don't really know if they have blessed salt or not. I don't know. Good question. I don't know. You stumped me.
I have to start asking around now. Like, hey,
That's right. I have to find out. I know exactly who to call and ask too.
there
Now
we
I'm going to
go.
find that out today for sure.
Let's see. So Brooke says or asks, Marianne, do you ever have earthbound standing outside your house, hanging out in your yard?
I don't have seeds, Brooke, so they don't have to stand outside. They can walk right in if they want to. Have any tried? No. Not the last one was a DEA agent that died, and he did that for a very specific reason. But I don't normally, just like I don't wear a seed ever. But I need to talk to him, so I have to be close to him, and I don't want, you know, it's like a live person. If you meet somebody for the first time and all of a sudden you start backing up, that person's going to go, ooh, no deodorant today? Why is she backing up? And and it would make, and I think it would make an earthbound spirit feel uncomfortable too if they couldn't get close enough to talk to me.
So let's see. And I was just checking, but and I haven't put it up yet. I'm gonna hopefully do that later today. Liam's asks, good morning. When would Marianne and Ted be at Goddess Elite again? As I missed her last time. Need more crystals and always enjoying seeing Marianne and Ted and acquiring new crystals and sage. And I'm like, oh, did I put that up yet? And I haven't. But in October.
It's
Marianne.
October. I don't remember the date in October. Ted, do you remember the date when I'm going to be at the Goddess Elite? Nope, he doesn't have it up yet either.
So it's written down at the store.
Yeah, but I will be there in October and then probably in December before Christmas because I know people like to come in and get stuff for Christmas. So 2 more times this year as long as we're still going to be allowed to do it.
I want to say it was around the 24th. Don't hold that.
It's a Sunday this time, and it's either the 22nd or the if Sunday's the 22nd, I'm almost guessing.
No, the 24th would be Sunday.
It's probably the 24th, probably. But
yeah, it'll hopefully be up today. I'm running on a shorter staff because I've got somebody out from surgery. One went back to school, so she's only there on weekends, and so. Like today is normally my day off, but I have to stick closer to that 11 o'clock sign off because I have to shut down, throw the computer in the bag, put my shoes on, get out the door, go open the store, and be there at noon. So
there you go. I know how that goes.
Running ragging here. So Kim says, I have very vivid dreams of fighting aliens using a sword. The dreams are so real. The aliens are looking different in the dreams. Do you have any answers why I would have dreams like this? Are you watching Resident Alien before bed?
Yeah, right. I'm thinking it could be a number of things. I know people that have been abducted or taken out of their house with aliens have had some recollection of laying on an exam table, being probed or poked or blood drawn or stuff like that. I have never heard anybody fighting with them. And in all honesty, it's probably just a dream, because if an alien is smart enough to get from another planet to ours, abduct us without us knowing it, walking among us like we don't even know who they are, I think they're beyond swords. They would probably do something more like with a lightsaber or something. I don't know. It just seems to me that they would use something that would be such an antique for them to use a sword if they're smart enough to know all that. So I don't think so.
Yeah, Kim says she doesn't watch alien TV shows. I don't normally either, but after Marianne, you kept talking about Resident Alien.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my
God. Sandy, our friend, watched it, and she's like, you have to watch it. I'm like, oh, it's sci-fi. Sci-fi shows are so corny and bad.
Oh yeah, but
it was hilarious, and I can't wait for the next one.
I know it. I just told somebody about it not that long ago. You've got to watch it. It is so crazy good.
And now we'll randomly text one another's like one-liners from the show, just randomly. So it's fun. Let's see. So there are people saying that yes, kosher salt is blessed by a rabbi.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. Didn't know that. I wonder what ceremonies they use blessed sea salt for. I know what Catholics use it for, and Lutherans use it for, and Episcopalians use it for, but I don't know. Oh, well, that's fine. Thank you for letting me know, because I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that could be, maybe we should grab some and then like test it out. And then if it works as well as the blessed sea salt for people, like if they can't get a hold of you, or, that could be something that they could maybe get their hands on.
Easier. Correct. Exactly. And just, if you can get that, just throw a couple tablespoons in bath water and soak in it for about 10 minutes. That works really, really well. And if you think about it, bath salts is made out of sea salt. So, get around it that way. It's not blessed, but at least it's sea salt, and that's better than using nothing.
Right. Nadia has another question. It says, why do I paralyze when I see spirits? And how can I not be afraid of seeing them? I can't move or talk, and they touch me, can't interact. And I think you kind of answered your own question. You're afraid of them, so you freeze.
That's exactly right.
What is it? Fight, flight, or fawn? And I think there's another one that people tend to do. It used to be just fight. Right?
I don't think that's it, but that would work. So.
Right. Dee Dee says, after smudging, can it make them mad? I think I made it mad because that's when it started touching my eyelids and lifting my arm. No, and you probably didn't smudge correctly, because I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Correct.
I'm sure our friends that have listened to us enough, you've heard me say this a million times, you need to smoke up your house like an 80s bar and get it everywhere. Don't just swish around the corners in the center of the room and walk on, because they can just be standing against the other wall, laugh at you, and keep doing what they're doing.
That's exactly right.
So you need to really smoke it.
If you're not doing it right, or you don't have enough confidence in yourself, at least every 2 or 3 days, smoke up your bedroom. So if you're not making them lethargic from the rest of the house, at least they're not going to come in your bedroom.
Right. Oh, Brooke says, our family loves to say this is some BS when something inconvenient happens. We love Resident Alien. So
oh, he just cracks me up. He just I don't think he's coming back to like February or March or something. It's a ways off.
It's a minute. I'll randomly just probably inappropriate, but because remember when he was in the public bathroom and he just looks at the guy and he's like, do you ever shiver when you pee? The guy's like, what?
Or no, what about the one where he was making out with a woman for the first time, a human, and all of a sudden he pushed back and he looked down, he said, what is wrong with my body? Is it going to explode? It's like, oh my God.
It's hilarious.
Oh my God. Ay, ay, ay.
So let's see. So we're getting close to 11. So what is your video again later today at 5:30
It's
going?
on possessions. We're going to do possessions today, and next Wednesday is going to be walk-ins, which unfortunately some people think that's a possession. Totally different. So today's possessions, and next Wednesday will be walk-ins.
Maybe next Wednesday morning, you and I will start off the live, like what the difference is between the two. So
good idea. And
know.
because if they watch today, then they'll maybe even have questions, that I didn't cover. These little videos started out 12, 13, 14 minutes. And then I try to get more information out there. And then somebody said something about 6 months again. They gotten a little long. So I started talking faster. That didn't make any difference. It still went too long. And then somebody really complained and said, I can't watch them. They're too long. Okay. So I'm trying to shorten it down to 14 or 15 minutes again. And, but I need to get the information out there. That's the problem.
So here's the thing. Record as long as you need, because people can hit pause and come back. If it's too long for their
right. I never thought of this. Not using a computer, I wouldn't even know you could do that. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, then why are they complaining? That's baloney.
Complainers gonna complain.
Yeah, somebody wrote, Ted, and said, "Oh my gosh, is YouTube wants you to do it shorter?" No, they have nothing to do with it.
No, actually, YouTube, if you want to get into the marketing thing, and here's where people will learn some stuff, you would actually want to be at least 15 minutes or longer, because then YouTube can then start throwing in more of their ads showing. So YouTube wants longer. Not sure.
I don't know. It's just crazy.
So, I mean, and here's the thing. If anybody that's new and you think it's too long, hit pause. Like you would on a cassette tape or a VHS tape or a DVD. Hit pause and come back.
I did a lady's house a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "Oh my God," she says, "all we ever listen to is audiobooks when they drive it." And her husband travel a lot, and they're starting to do it again now because of, everything opening up. And she said, "We drove from here to Utah listening to your YouTubes all the way there and all the way back." That's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
But at least they, and she said, no, she said, we thought they were great. And so, it's you don't want to listen to it. Don't listen to it. I don't care. What do I care?
So there's at least 10 responses here in a row. Longer, better. Don't listen to that complaint. They don't know what they're talking about. Keep going. So
there we go.
Versus how many here. So
well, I'll go with all your advice then.
Yeah. I mean, people, they can pause, they can walk away, whatever. They're not trapped in a classroom. But speaking of classroom, and it's funny because you and I were talking about this before going live. Mirror says, "I'm working on becoming an exorcist. I'm a Aaronic priest." Aaronic, I don't know if I'm saying that right. "Any porters on expelling, books, mentors that would aid me in being better prepared for things to come?" And we were just talking about how some of the local colleges have in their theological religion studies, like classes on demonology and exorcism. And so I would say, look at some of your local universities, and if they have those type of classes.
And surprisingly, look at the religious studies to see what their subjects are, and look at the anthropology classes. Because they'll touch on that too, especially bringing up stuff that happened centuries ago, what people thought they needed to do, for religion and or other stuff. So, but yeah, no, and you can audit any class. The colleges are more than open to that. And so, no, that would be my best advice for you.
Yeah, I would always say go with a more like classroom style, and then see if they have recommendations of people who are actively that want people to know that they're doing it and that have success and have validation behind. Because right now there is such an uptick in all of this paranormal ghost hunting, this and that, and all these groups, and they say they're doing things, and then I get people that will come in and say this group came out, and ever since they came out, like it's still going on, or it's gotten worse, or this or that. And so don't just find a local, paranormal group and go, well, they know what they're doing because they said so. Because so I would say start in a learned, I don't want to say group.
And because of the computers, and this is a little bit how I start this out. In the past 50 years, if I used to do 1 or 2 possessions a year, now, and it's because people can get information on how to call up a spirit from, the instructions off of these little machines is really good. People can do it. Now, it's not unusual for me to get 2 to 4 people a month that have a possession. So knowledge isn't always a good thing.
No, it's one thing to have the knowledge, and then you need to have the understanding and the application.
And how to use it. That's right.
Yeah. Which is why, so many of these apprenticeships and things like what we do, like it's many, 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 many months long, because you're learning to deal with energies and things to do. And it's not just here's your weekend handbook, and by Monday, you're a professional.
Right. I went to this one house, and this girl was 19, and she showed me, she had a piece of paper of instructions on how to get a spirit in you to help you with, she wanted to do all kinds of charms and all kinds of different. She got this right off of, and I read this, I'm thinking, if this girl does this to herself, she's going to have a possession, okay, but this is going to be a possession that I'm going to have to refer to a religious person, because she's going to be calling in something that is not nice. But that's from a computer, so that's why it's picked up so much, I think.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. One last question here. Michelle says, if I use holy water to bless my home, could I make things worse with my daughter who seems to see a shadow man occasionally?
Do not use holy water ever. It's perfectly fine if you're getting the house blessed by an ordained priest or minister, but for a lay person to just start throwing holy water around, you are going to make that person very, very angry. No, you're better off smudging, smudge. If your kid is seeing something, then smudge every 12, 14 days at least, and see if that doesn't make a difference.
Right. Okay. So, if you would like to join us on a Zoom, if you think you have any earthbounds, negative energy, or a portal in your home, this is where you can sign up and find out. Each Zoom session is $20. We limit it to 25 people. Starts at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Please be aware of the time change. We love having friends, because just one of the last ones, we had somebody from Wales, and I could have listened to them talk all evening because I love the accent.
I know. And nobody under 18, just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm. So we always go with the new people first, and then we'll go into our repeat friends for any follow-ups. But we do go until everybody gets their questions answered. So if you need to leave, or if you bounce out before we get to you, that's kind of on you, because we will get to you, and I'll probably get a little more stat fast on like 2 questions. We've got more people to go.
Yeah, we have to work on that.
We don't need a 15-minute story. What's your 2 questions? Because everybody else, I can see everybody's faces, and I'm like, oh, good Lord. Okay, we need to move on.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I know that if something happened to you when you were 10 or 12 years old, I am not going to laugh at you. It probably happened. but I need to know what's going on now. I don't need or want to know what happened 10, 15, 20, or 40 years ago.
Mhm.
I mean, you want to share your story, and I appreciate it, but we need 2 questions for right now.
Right. We want to be respectful of everybody there, especially if they're on different time, you know.
Exactly.
So like our friends that were from Wales, they were away in the early morning. So we don't want to keep them up all night. So, so this link will work for any of the sessions that we have open, regardless of the dates, as long as we're still doing them. So right now we have September 20th has openings because there was only like 6 people signed up so far, because September 10th is closed. No more can log in for September 10th. We're looking at the 20th.
That's a Monday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be Monday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you need to, let's see, where did your website go? Here we go. This is where you can order Marianne's quince seeds, the blessed sea salt, the soap, the charms. What else do you have on there? Your smudge sticks, your dream
Green
bag,
bags, yeah.
all the things. Even Ted, maybe if he doesn't behave himself, Ted will go up on there. Well, let's see. Did he hear that one? Did you
I'm really good. I don't have to go on there.
So yeah. And Marianne, your videos go up at 5:30 every Wednesday. So Wednesdays are like Marianne Wednesdays. You get to see her twice on YouTube.
You got it.
But otherwise, do you have anything else to want to share as we get ready to?
No, starting next week, I'll start complaining about the Mercury retrograde at the end of the month, but we're good till then.
If you buy into such nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's me.
When with the moving, my Glowforge is now at the store rather than here at the apartment, and I was having issue getting it to connect to the Wi-Fi, and somebody, and I'm like, yes, and it's not even Mercury retrograde.
That's when it usually happens. You're right.
Oh, Geezer says, I want to order a $5 bag of Ted.
Oh, he's way more expensive than that.
I assure you the link does work. You can't click it from the website. You have to type it in because it's not a clickable link on the screen, but it is there if you type it in. You can also go to goddesselite.com, click on events, and under haunted events, it's right there. Marianne, I believe it's on your guys' website.
I'm sure it's there somewhere.
So it is there and it does work, because usually as we're sitting here, my phone goes off. I have to put it on silent so you don't hear it binging, binging, binging. So it does work. But otherwise, we'll see everybody next Wednesday. 10.
You got it.
Bring your coffee, bring your water, your tea, and your questions.
And we'll do it again. Have a great week, everybody. And for those that are on Zoom on Friday, I'll see you then.
All right. We'll see you later, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.